Welcome in to Send It In, presented by BetMGM here on the BetQL Network. Day 2 from Las Vegas, live from the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook. Got another great show on tap for you guys today. We're going to be talking some golf, Waste Management Open. It's a Tee It Up Tuesday. We will also look at a loaded college basketball slate. We'll give out some best bets for the day. And we'll talk some more Super Bowl, of course, getting closer and closer to Super Bowl 58 between the Chiefs and the 49ers. As always, we want to hear from you guys over the next 30 minutes. Send us your comments, best bets, questions, anything that you have regarding any sport. Go to twitch.tv/BetQL, YouTube /Odyssey Sports, or Twitter and Instagram at the BetQL app. Let's get this thing going. Glass is in session, and we got a special guest joining me to kick off the show live and in person in Las Vegas. Minty Bets. You can follow Minty on Twitter X at Minty Bets, on-air host and betting analyst for UFC. Minty, great to meet you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, it is early. It's bright and early, and there's no Super Bowl traffic yet. Yeah. So I'm excited to be here. And you know what's funny, PJ, is that 4 years ago when I was still with Yahoo Sports and we were partnered with BetMGM, here at the Mandalay Bay was my very first hit, in person. And I was talking about the Super Bowl, the Chiefs against the Niners. And here I am 4 years later, full circle moment.
That's
I'm
right.
back at the same casino talking about the same exact Super Bowl matchup. So I'm super excited. I think this is a sign.
I think it might be. It's going to be a great game. We'll get into that in a little bit. We were talking before the show started. This is a home game for you. You're from Las Vegas. Can you believe that the city of Vegas is actually getting the Super Bowl? Has it hit you yet?
Yeah, I can't believe it because I was born and raised in Las Vegas. I've never lived anywhere else. So this is my true hometown, and I never thought we would even get a professional sports team in my lifetime. And now we have 3. We have the Aces, we have the Knights, and we have the Raiders. And so I'm incredible. And we're getting the Oakland A's soon. Yeah. So I'm really excited. Yeah, this is a really big moment here. Everything Super Bowl Las Vegas, I'm for it.
What are your plans going to be for the game? What are your normal plans for any big event in Las Vegas? Do you like watching at home? Do you like going to casinos? Do you go to watch parties? What do you usually do? And then have you decided what you're going to do for Sunday?
So normally I just stay home.
Okay.
As a Vegas resident, we try to avoid the Strip just as much as residents in New York try to avoid Times Square, all the touristy areas. New Orleans, you avoid, the French Quarter. I avoid the Strip at all costs. I mean, we have local casinos and resorts near us, so maybe I'll go watch there, but nothing's like the comfort of your own home, going to the bathroom whenever you want, eating whatever you want whenever you want, you know, and taking a little nap. You get kicked out if you take a nap here at the book, okay? So you don't get kicked out at home.
I feel that. So let's get into the game. We got a good one. San Francisco against Kansas City. Right now, Minty, the Niners are favored by 2. The total is 47.5. You like San Francisco on the money line, -130. Kansas City is +110. So we're getting closer and closer to the game. As of today, right now, if you had to pick a side, are you leaning towards the Niners or the Chiefs?
All right, so I have a preseason ticket, 10-1 for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's good price.
And I'm keeping it, and I'm not hedging, okay? I like the Niners to win here, so if I had to give out a pick, it would be the Niners on the money line at -130. Now, I really don't like paying that juice here, but Super Bowl favorites are 3-7 against the spread in the last 10 Super Bowls. So I can't really trust them to cover that short number here. I would rather just bet them to win straight up, honestly.
Would you, because you have that future, you said you won't hedge at the beginning, would you maybe look to hedge in a live betting opportunity? Like if San Francisco gets up early, could you see yourself taking the Chiefs +7.5, +10.5, or are you just confident that San Francisco is going to win the game?
Possibly. I love in-game betting, and especially with the Chiefs. I know in years past, we've seen the Chiefs start off a little slow, and they're a great second-half team. Not so much now. I feel like they've been a little more consistent in both halves of the game, but yeah, I would absolutely look at live betting opportunities here. And of course, prop bets all throughout the week.
Yeah, speaking of prop bets, who do you like in the game? What are some players that you're targeting?
Man, so I've got 2 player props here, and they're a little square, okay? So let me get them up for you. First one I've got is going to be Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? -110. It's a little juice. I know we like the plus money props, but Travis is the most utilized player on the field for Patrick Mahomes. He's scored 4 times in the last 6 games, and he's just so explosive and reliable. So Travis Kelce anytime touchdown -110. Another player prop I like is going to be Deebo Samuel, anytime touchdown, plus 175. He's a very quick, dynamic player, and I mean, he's just such a reliable weapon for Brock Purdy. He's also very careful with the ball, too. He makes very little mistakes. So those are my two player props. I've got a couple novelty props and a nice same game parlay, too, that I've already fired on.
Very now. What are some novelty props? Like, are you into like the coin toss, the Gatorade color? Do we get creative?
So, yes. We do get a little creative. Now, I don't go big on these props, but coin toss, I got to go tails. Why? Don't know why.
Tails never fails.
Yeah, tails never fails. I think the Niners are going to win the coin toss as well. So I don't know if you can parlay the Niners and tails, but I think the payout would be kind of nice here. And also with Gatorade color, everyone's going to hate me here. I think it could be red. And I believe red is 5-1. Why do I pick red? Because that's the name of one of Taylor Swift's albums is Red, one of my favorite Taylor Swift albums. But if, like, really, I think it's going to be blue.
I like that angle, red, because if the Chiefs win, you could see them doing that because they wear red and red. And if the Niners do it, it could be a shot at Taylor.
Exactly. And blue has been the Gatorade color 3 of the last 5 years. The only teams to break the blue streak are the Chiefs. They've gone purple and orange, and I think San Francisco could go blue here.
I like it.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything with the running backs? McCaffrey's obviously been great all year. Pacheco's been really good for Kansas City. I like some rushing props in this game. You were talking about Deebo. I think he could be a factor running the ball. Like when you look at the running backs or maybe some of the receivers in this game, what are you eyeing there?
So I only have those 2 player props, anytime touchdowns. I don't love a ton of player props here because if we look at guys like Christian McCaffrey and tight ends like George Kittle, the number is so inflated. It's just there's just no value there for me. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's numbers are high, so I don't think I'm going to bet any running back or tight end props or specific player props like that. I'm more towards the anytime touchdown kind of props at plus money or very low price. But I do have Pacheco in a same game parlay. And the same game parlay is Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown, the total over 40.5 points. And what else was the last one? Oh, and Jake Moody to make 1 or more PATs. And that's a payout of plus 120. I mean, come on. And by the way, we never used to be able to bet same game parlays in Nevada, by the way, until very, very recently. So this is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, that's good. Any thoughts on the total in the game? You like some anytime touchdowns? You think this is going to be a high scoring game? We're at 47.5.
47.5 is quite it's a smart number to set at, but I kind of like the over here. Now, I think it could start off slow, but both offenses are more than capable of scoring. San Francisco has been one of the higher scoring teams in the playoffs, but they also simultaneously are giving up an average of 26 points per game. The Chiefs will find a way to score. They can find ways to score. And I think this is going to be a really close game. I'm going over 47.5. What do you think, PJ?
I kind of like the under in the game. I'm not confident. I love the under in the Chiefs-Ravens game, and then I like the over in the Niners and the Lions game. I worry about Purdy, though, in this game, Minty. I think there could be some interceptions, maybe some turnovers that could lead to some scoring and maybe get you your over. But I'm kind of with you. I like San Francisco to win the game.
Okay.
I think I've been going back and forth. I haven't placed the wager yet. I'm kind of been going back, but I think San Francisco is just better. I think it's just you got to get past betting against Mahomes, right? That's the scary thing in fading him. So we'll see. Before I let you go, last question for you. Super Bowl MVP. Have you made a wager in that market?
It is so square. Obviously, if the Chiefs win, I'm going Mahomes. I mean, he's already won 2 times already, and his numbers are phenomenal. If the Niners win, I'm going Brock Purdy. Now, his storyline is amazing all season long. His numbers in the postseason, not so impressive, but I mean, throughout the regular season, he's top 5 across the board. So I'm going Mahomes as my MVP pick at plus 130, as well as Purdy at plus 220. Why stray from what has worked in the past? Mostly quarterbacks have won it, but 2 wide receivers and 2 linebackers. I'm going with the 2 quarterbacks.
You're getting a good price on both quarterbacks, right?
Absolutely,
because of
money.
the skill position players. I think that's a safe bet. She's Minty Bets. You can catch her on Twitter X at Minty Bets, on-air host and betting analyst for UFC. Minty, was great meeting you in person. We'll have you on again throughout the year talking UFC. Can't wait to tell you in some of those bets, but it was great seeing you and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Great seeing you as well. Thank you.
Right, great stuff. Moving on now, send it in as it's time to talk some more Super Bowl. We're looking at some quarterback props in this matchup. And we will start with Brock Purdy on the San Francisco side. I'm going to take under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Purdy. again, I think this is going to be a heavy running game for San Francisco. I think it could be McCaffrey. I think Debo's going to be a factor. I think about the one elite defense that Brock Purdy has faced this season when he went up against the Ravens. He had 4 interceptions in that game. Now he's going up against the best secondary in the NFL in Kansas City, who's had 2 weeks to prepare for him. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for Kansas City, as we know, is great in the postseason. So I'm going to take under 1.5 pass attempts for Brock Purdy. He's been really good in the fourth quarter of these playoff games, come from behind win against the Packers, come from behind win against the Lions, but I'm going to go under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Brock Purdy. Sticking with Purdy, I'm also going to take him to throw an interception for the reasons that I just mentioned. He's going up against a great pass defense. He threw 4 picks against the Ravens, threw an interception against the Lions, was fortunate to not throw maybe multiple picks against the Packers. So he has been a little bit dicey. Kansas City should get healthier on defense with this 2-week layoff. And again, I just think the ability of Spags to call plays on defense and the Chiefs secondary, I think it's a good price at -120 for Purdy to throw an interception. So I really like that. Then I will take Patrick Mahomes over 36.5 pass attempts against the 49ers. The Chiefs offense, especially in the postseason, it's kind of been short passing game a little bit, has been an extension of the run. Their identity this season has been ball control and defense, right? They're winning a ton of low-scoring games, especially against some of these elite teams in the NFL. They just beat the Ravens 17-10. The Dolphins game was low-scoring. Both Dolphins matchups when they played the Eagles in the regular season, the Lions at the beginning of the year. These games are in the low 20s, high teens. So I think it's going to be a lower-scoring game. The clock's going to be running a lot. San Francisco is going to try and make Kansas City one-dimensional because if you let Pacheco get going on the ground and you have to bring in more defenders to stop the run, that's when Mahomes kills you. But think about what the Chiefs did in the first half against Baltimore. All those long drives they were able to sustain, all the short passes to Rice and Kelsey and Pacheco. I think we see some of that. So I'll take over 36.5 pass attempts. You guys know I love my longest reception completion. I like longest pass completion as well. Been going back and forth on that market for both guys. I'm going to stay away, though. Again, San Francisco and Kansas City are susceptible to give up some big plays down the field. Kansas City, they have so much confidence in their corners that they leave them on islands. We saw Zay Flowers had a couple of big catches. And then San Francisco, again, if you're going to attack them, it's their secondary down the field. So possibly both quarterbacks could have longest completions, but I'm going to stay away from that. I do like Mahomes to throw more passing touchdowns than Brock Purdy at -125. I would lay the juice in that market. Again, I just don't think Purdy is going to have a lot of passing touchdowns, and I think Mahomes will. This is the Super Bowl. Mahomes has been on this stage plenty of times before. He's not going to get rattled. You got to worry about Purdy and the bright lights, and we know Shanahan in these spots gets ultra conservative. He leans on the running game. There could be some field goals, so I'll take Mahomes to throw more passing touchdowns than Brock Purdy. And then Brock Purdy first pass attempt. We're going to take a little sprinkle on this at +210. Purdy's first pass attempt of the game to be an incompletion, right? They're obviously going to try and start him off with a short pass, maybe a screen, maybe a little 5-yard out, maybe a slant, something like that. But Kansas City knows that. They're going to want to try and rattle him early and get him off of his spots. The Ravens were able to get to Purdy, a couple of turnovers early in the game, and then he just fell down from there. If Kansas City's able to do the same thing, I think they could have some success. And I like the price. +210, first pass attempt of the game for Purdy to be an incompletion. I'll take that as well. All right, moving on now. It's a Tee It Up Tuesday here in Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, and we got one of the best tournaments on the PGA Tour all year, the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It's always the same week as the Super Bowl, and I can't wait for this event. I love it every year. Some heavy hitters are not playing this year. No Rory McIlroy, no Xander Schauffele, no Victor Hovland, but we do still have some stars. It's a par 71 golf course, 7,200 yards, and this is a high-risk, high-reward kind of golf course. There are going to be a lot of opportunities for golfers to either go for it, where danger could be lurking. There could be some water, there could be some bunkers, or they can try and take the conservative route and try and make birdies. But you can make eagles. There are drivable par 5s. There's a drivable par 4. And then, of course, the famous hole, the 16, the stadium hole, is as electric as it gets in the game of golf. But this is a really fun course. Should be good weather this week out in Phoenix with the storms blowing out this weekend that are coming in from California. So no real worries there with the weather. When you look at the odds board for the Waste Management Open. The favorite, no surprise. He's the favorite in every event. He tees it up, but especially this one, Scottie Scheffler. He's the two-time defending champion. He's plus 500, and you can see why. This golf course, the things you want to look for this week when you're handicapping, guys you want to back, who are the elite ball strikers, because again, there are a lot of danger. You can take risks on this course, but you got to be accurate. You got to be precise with your drives and with your irons. So who's a great ball striker and who is a great scrambler? You don't need to really be a great putter this week. The greens are pretty easy, and the top echelon putters usually don't separate themselves like the elite scramblers do. Scotty is as good as a ball striker as there is on planet Earth, and he's as good as it gets scrambling. We all know his detriment is the putting. That's why he's gone back-to-back here. So no surprise that he is the big favorite at plus 500. Then you have Justin Thomas at 10-1, and this has been one of JT's best courses that he's played throughout his career. 6 straight times he has finished in the top 20 at the Waste Management Open, and for the last 5 years, he has finished in the top 10. Last season, he went through a stretch where he really wasn't playing good golf, but he still managed to play pretty good at this event. He's starting to play better and better. JT certainly could be a factor this week, and that's why he's behind Scheffler at 10-1. And then you get a big drop-off to Jordan Spieth. And at this course, Spieth is either boom or bust. In the last 6 times he's played here, twice he's missed the cut. The other time he finished outside the top 60. And then the other 3 times in those 6 trips playing at the Waste Management Open, he's finished in the top 10. So if you're betting Jordan Spieth this week, maybe you take some plus money on him to miss the cut, and then maybe you take some plus money on him top 10, because it's either one or the other for him at this course. He's either in contention or he's completely out of it. Then some guys that I'm looking at this weekend, both at 28-1. Sung J M, I think, is going to have a really good week at the Waste Management Open. This course fits up great for him because he's a great ball striker and he's a really good scrambler as well. 3 of the last 4 times Sung J has played here, he's finished in the top 20, and he's been in pretty decent form. Started his season out in Hawaii with the top 5 finish. Didn't play great last week at Pebble, but there was some weather there. Sung J, if he's on his game this week at the price, especially 28-1, really like that. And then the guy who won this past week at Pebble Beach, Wyndham Clark, I'd come right back with him this week. Wyndham's ability with his driver, his length, his ball striking, and his scrambling, that's how he was able to win the U.S. Open out in Los Angeles, was because of his ball striking and his scrambling ability. This course should really set up nice for him. He finished top 10 here last year. So Wyndham Clark, Sung J M, a couple guys that I would look at. And then another one, Hideki Matsuyama. This course this week is the 4th most predictable on tour. So guys that usually play here tend to play well here year after year after year. Hideki's another one of those guys that seemingly always is good at the Waste Management Open. 3 top 20 finishes in his last 5 tries. So we'll look at Hideki Matsuyama, pretty good price this week at 50-1. As for my bets, though, my official card, top 5, Scottie Scheffler plus 110, back-to-back defending champion. He's going to be in the mix once again. So I like Scottie plus 110. I like Sung J M, top 10 at plus 275, and Wyndham Clark, top 10 at plus 300. And then Sung J M, I like him at top 20, and then Hideki Matsuyama at plus 200. So room for Sung J and Wyndham this week. Those are the 2 guys I'll absolutely be taking, betting them both outright at 28-1 as well. Let's move along off the glass now here on Send It In. It's Tuesday. We got a loaded slate of college basketball. Bunch of games that I like on the schedule today. We'll start in the Big Ten with Rutgers and Maryland. The Terps are favored by 7.5. The total 127.5. Both of these teams, 2 of the best defensive teams in college basketball. Rutgers ranks 3rd in defensive efficiency. According to Ken Pom, Maryland is 6th. The Terps play at one of the slowest tempos in college basketball. The total's low for a reason at 127.5, and I think you got to take it. This is going to be a game that's played in the mid-50s. I like under 127.5 in Maryland and Rutgers. Then we have Ole Miss and South Carolina. If you haven't been paying attention to college basketball, South Carolina has been one of the best stories of the entire season. This was a team that was picked to finish last preseason in the SEC. Now they're towards the top of the standings. If they win tonight and Bama loses tomorrow to Auburn, South Carolina is going to be in a tie for first place in the SEC. They're 3.5-point favorites tonight to Ole Miss, who's also having a really good season under their first-year head coach, Chris Beard. I think Ole Miss is able to keep this game close. There's a reason why South Carolina, the number 16 ranked team in the country, is at home against unranked Ole Miss, and the spread is as low as it is at 3.5. South Carolina has exceeded every expectation that we thought of them coming into the year. I think it's time to start fading this team a little bit. I'll take Ole Miss plus 3.5. Favorite bet of the night is the Houston Cougars in the first half, minus 11.5 against Oklahoma State. Houston just lost on the road to Kansas really badly, and they didn't look good, and their defense didn't play well. If this season has shown us anything, when Houston has lost and their defense hasn't played well, their bounce-back game, they just obliterate everybody, especially when they're at home. I think they're going to be up 20 in the first half of this game. It's going to be like 42-18 at halftime, one of those kind of games. I'll take Houston in the first half. Also like Clemson in the first half at plus 3.5 against North Carolina. UNC's coming off that huge win against Duke, and UNC in the first half this season at home has been a little gettable. They get off to some slow starts. This is a game that Clemson absolutely needs. So this is one of those games we get a desperate Clemson team who's looking to get off to a hot start. We got a North Carolina team coming off a big emotional win to Duke. I'll take Clemson plus 3.5 in the first half. Then I like Texas on the money line, minus 135 against Iowa State. Iowa State, really like them. Could be Final Four sleeper type team, but I like them a lot at home. Don't like them as much on the road. Texas is coming off a great road win at TCU. I'll take Texas on the money line, minus 125. And then lastly, top 25 matchup tonight in the Big 12, number 23 Texas Tech against number 13 Baylor. Baylor's favored by 5.5. The total is 144.5. Kind of like the over in the game. These are two top 15 offensive teams. Texas Tech's defense much worse on the road than it is at home, but I'll take the points with Texas Tech. I think Baylor's very overrated, and this is just one of those Big 12 games that, like most Big 12 games, I think are going to be close, come down to the wire, probably a one-possession game. So a lean towards the over, but I do like Texas Tech plus the points. Let's go to Model Making Money now. Check in with Kate Constable, who is standing by here on Send It In. And Kate, what are the 5-star plays that BetQL has for us today?
Hey, PJ, I hope you're enjoying Vegas. I'm jealous. 5-star plays for today. Magic and Heat over 112. Our model has this sitting at the over at 120.5. So what is that? Almost 8 points difference from where the line is right now to where the model's at. The line's also ticked up a little bit throughout the morning. So money coming in on the over. That seems to be, according to the model, the right side for tonight.
All right, low total, but the model liking the over there. Kay, what about you? What are some of your favorite bets for tonight?
I like the Utah Jazz, their team total over 118.5. They're playing the Thunder tonight. They've gone over this number in 2 games against the Thunder already this season. And over OKC's last 5 road games, they're allowing teams to shoot 42% from deep. That's the 4th worst mark in the league. They're also, the Thunder giving up the most offensive rebounds, most total rebounds over that span. And the Jazz, they've been great at putting points up on the board. 127 points is what they're averaging at home over their last 10 games. Haven't finished with under 119 points since the start of the new year. So I think we're getting a very high scoring game tonight. Plus the Thunder, they're coming off that double overtime game against the Raptors on, Sunday. And so, I mean, that was a big comeback win. They came back down 23, ton of energy exerted there. Now they're going to some altitude in Utah. I'm not sure OKC's defense is going to show up as well as it has at some other spots this season. So over on the team total for the Jazz tonight.
Like that look, Kate. Really good handicap there. NBA trade deadline's coming up on Thursday. Is there a team or two that you look at right now that you would love to see them make a move at the deadline?
Yeah, I would love for Minnesota to do something, which I know is kind of surprising because they're already one of the best teams in the West. But I feel like they have the championship caliber defense right now. They just need a little help on offense within that second unit because their offense can kind of go stagnant at times. Mike Conley, I mean, he's on the older end of things. I mean, 35, I believe. As the season goes on, they get into the playoffs, they're going to need a better, stronger backup point guard. So, I mean, Tyus Jones has been linked to him. It sounds like the Wizards want more than the Wolves are willing to give up for that. But maybe Minnesota goes after a player like Dennis Schroeder or even Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was just traded from Miami to Charlotte. Now, Kyle Lowry is also very old and kind of towards the end of his career. I don't want to call him washed up, but he's not the same Kyle Lowry. But maybe a buyout from Charlotte over these next couple weeks, and the Wolves can pick him up that way. So a player like that, I think, would be good to add to the second rotation for Minnesota. Also, the Knicks, kind of similar spot. They need another piece. Bruce Brown has been linked to the Knicks a little bit. I think he would fit perfectly with a Tom Thibodeau coached team. Jordan Clarkson, his name's also been thrown around. He would be a little less of Tibbs' style, I think, but someone that the Knicks could use certainly in their rotations as the season goes on and we get into the playoffs.
Kate, it's going to be interesting to see what those Western Conference teams do, right? Like OKC, Minnesota, we know they got a nice young nucleus. Both are probably still like a year ahead of schedule. Does one of them end up going for it? I like your thought with the T-Wolves. Kate, you mentioned we're out here in Vegas. We're at Mandalay Bay. It's been a great time. The weather, I wish it was a little bit nicer, a little bit, warmer, but it's all good. We're counting down. Wish the Ravens were here too. We're counting down days until the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the 49ers. As we get closer and closer to the game, has there been anything else that you like? Any more player props in the game? As obviously more things become available as we get closer to kickoff.
Yeah, PJ, I wish the Bears were playing there too, but we can't all have nice things. Okay. Player props. One that I really like is George Kittle, his longest reception over 20.5 yards. In terms of receptions game in and game out, kind of all over the place. So it's hard to bet on his number of receptions, but he's going over this 20.5 yards seems like almost every game. He's topped this in 6 of his last 7 games, 10 of his last 12. Also in the postseason, 5 straight games he's gone over this number, 6 of his last 8. He steps up big, and he's been here before. He's one of the players on this 49ers team that played in the last Super Bowl against the Chiefs. He's hungry to get back here, so I think we see a big game from Kittle, not necessarily meaning he's catching a bunch of passes, but he'll make an impact whether they need, that one big yard play, a touchdown here or there. So I'm looking at Kittle this weekend.
Ride or die with those Iowa boys, Kate. I respect it. George Kittle, I like it. I think he could have a big game. Kate Constable joining me here on Send It In. Kate, always great talking to you. We'll talk again soon.
Have fun, PJ. We'll see you.
Getting a question here on Twitch, KAH803. Scotty Scheffler three-peat at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I certainly think there's a chance. I don't really like betting any golf outrights at plus 500. My advice for betting Scheffler, hope that maybe he gets off to a sluggish first round. The scoring tends to be really low at the Waste Management. He certainly could do it. I'm hoping, though, that maybe he struggles a little bit in round one. We get like a 10-1, 11-1 price on Scotty, and then I'd absolutely pounce. But to answer your question, absolutely could see it. He's the favorite right now, and if I had to bet on one guy to win, it would be Scotty. I'm just hoping for a better price than plus 500. Let's wrap up the show now. PJ's plays here on Send It In. Keep the questions coming in. We got 2 minutes left in the show. We're going to continue our theme, the prop block. We've been doing this for the days leading up to the Super Bowl. Like another one, Brock Purdy interception minus 120. I keep going back to the Ravens game, and that is kind of the game that I'm comping for San Francisco when I look at their matchup against Kansas City, just because I think the Ravens and the Chiefs have the 2 best secondaries in football. I think they have the 2 best defenses in football, and I think about how Brock Purdy struggled at home against the Ravens. Now he's on Christmas Day, prime time, right? Huge game for the best team in the NFL, and he played terrible. Now he's playing in a neutral site game against the defending champs in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of his life. I just think he's going to make a mistake. I'll take Purdy. Throw an interception, minus 120. My stay away game tonight is going to be number 21 BYU at Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 1.5. One of these games where you have unranked Oklahoma favored against the ranked BYU team. BYU's better. They should win this game, but Oklahoma's slumping. They need a big-time win for their resume. I'm going to stay away. My dog of the day is going to be Ole Miss, plus 3.5 against South Carolina. We are breaking this game down during off the glass. South Carolina's been a great story, but it's time to start fading them because they have just completely blown every expectation out of the water. I think this is a good spot for Ole Miss. They tend to play to the level of their competition. I think they'll keep it close with the Gamecocks tonight. Shawnee Sharp is going to take Isaiah Hartenstein to record a double-double at plus 110 for the Knicks tonight. And my best bet, give me the Houston Cougars minus 11.5 in the first half against Oklahoma State. We're getting Houston off of a loss. We're getting Houston off of a bad blowout loss. Their defense is going to be suffocating tonight. They're at home. They're going to be up 20 in the first half against Oklahoma State. Houston, my best bet of the day. To recap for PJ's plays here on February 6th, Brock Purdy to throw a pick, my prop lock for the Super Bowl stay-away game, Oklahoma, BYU, Ole Miss plus 3.5, my dog of the day, and Houston minus 11.5 in the first half against Oklahoma State. Thanks so much to Kate Constable and Minty Bets for joining me here at Mandalay Bay. Annie Agar is going to join us tomorrow. Going to be another great show here. Send it in. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern.